Up, Christian, right?
Yes.
How are you, Christian?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, man. Sorry it took so long for me to make this call happen, but thanks for your persistence.
Well, thank you for eventually joining. I'm very happy to interview you today.
Oh, thanks, man. And you had a race earlier this week,
I did. It was on Tuesday.
and it sounds like it went pretty well.
It did. I was pretty happy with it.
Awesome, man. That's great to hear. When's the next one?
I have one on this upcoming Tuesday, which is my last middle school race. Well, middle school cross country race, pretty much ever. And then I'll do two high school meets
Oh, nice. Going
later.
up to the big leagues.
Yeah.
Nice. Are you excited, nervous, both?
Um, I'm less nervous for the high school races because I feel like I have less pressure to perform as like going into like a middle school race.
Yeah, I feel like that too sometimes. Cool. And how long have you been doing the interviews?
Um, about almost a year now.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Okay. Well, do you have anything you want to say before I ask you a couple of questions?
No, let's get right into it. I'm excited, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. So the first question I have is when and like why did you start running?
So I started running. The first time I raced was about the same time. It sounds like I was around your age. I was in middle school, and I'm from Canada, Kitchener, Ontario. It's called, but we had this like annual track meet, so everyone had to do it. Everyone had to participate. And when I ran the 1500, I picked the longest event I could just because I thought
Mm.
that was cool and that was a good way to impress everyone. Um, I won and it went great. It went better than, you know, any other sport that I've ever played before, like hockey, baseball, lacrosse. So I did that for a couple of years, but I didn't really train or anything like that. And once I got to high school, I have two older sisters that were just talking about how much they loved the cross country team. They loved the coach, the other athletes that were practicing with them and racing. So they encouraged me to come out for that. And that's when I finally got into a bit more of like a system of training, practicing and focusing on getting better. And, I just loved it. And, from there, I just wanted to see how far I could take it.
Okay. So at what age or like in what point did you realize that you have a chance of going like all the way, like running in college and then possibly pro?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So the moment that I realized, maybe I had something was, that first year of high school. I was grade 9 and we had a really good grade 10 team. And how it works in Canada, so in the US, everyone races
Mhm.
each other
Yeah.
and you have the divisions, right? We don't have that. We have all the grade 9s running against each other, then all the grade 10s run against each other, and then the grade 11 and 12s race. So there's three separate divisions based off age. But since our grade 10 team was really good and had a chance at
Mhm.
qualifying for what we would call provincials, it's the same thing as like a state championship. We moved, well, my coach asked me if I wanted to move up to the grade 10 races to help them. And I had a really good coach who knew a lot about the sport. She was really smart. And the first race I ran in the grade 10 division, I ended up winning, which was like our like pre-provincial, pre-state
Mhm.
championship. And then at the actual provincial championships, I came third. And that's when a lot of people came up to me and they're like, wow, like, what kind of training are you doing? How long you've been doing this? And I was like kind of overwhelmed. I was like, I've never had this much success before.
Mhm.
And that's how I found like, a group outside of school to start training with year round. And the first step was trying to make Team Ontario and then Team Canada. And then I wanted to see if I could get a scholarship to run in the NCAA. And, from there, it's just been setting these like short-term goals. And, now almost 10, 12 years later, I'm still doing it.
Do you have any idea what your times were at that time?
Yeah. So grade 9, we run the 1500 and the 3000 meter in high school,
Yeah.
instead of the mile and 2 mile. Grade 9, my first 3K that I ran, I think I ran about maybe 9:33. And I ended the season at 8:57. And then for the 1500, I think I started around maybe 4:30 and I ended the year at 4:08 for the 1500, which I guess kind of converts to maybe like a
Mhm.
4:26, 4:27. By the time I ended high school, I ran 8:17 in the 3K, which is about like an 8:55 2 mile, and 3:51 for the 1500, which is about a 4:09 mile. And high school kids these days would absolutely blow me away, but at the time, it was good enough to get me to the
Mhm.
University of Michigan.
How competitive was like the region or area you were in for like high school?
It was really competitive. So the province I'm from, Ontario, is one of the most populated areas of Canada. And we have this our championship, it's called OFSA, it's just really well organized. So there's a lot of prestige behind it. People really want to do well there. So it made a very competitive event. So there was about 4 or 5 guys that I would say the same age as me that any given year could have won the 1500 or the 3K. So we really push each other. And I got the chance to be on Team Canada with some of those guys. So there was like kind of this like friendly rivalry, like when we weren't racing. I really respected them, and we had so much in common that it was really easy to be friends with them. But when we were on the starting line, we never wanted to lose to each other. And almost all of us ended up going to the NCAA. So it was really cool. A lot of really great athletes at the time, and I think we all helped each other just raise the bar.
Yeah, nice. So, what was your favorite running memory from high school, college, and now as a pro? Like, what was like one moment that just stood out to you?
Oh, that's a pretty good one. I would say like from a strictly like a performance side of things, like
Hmm.
my highlight. In high school, my grade 12 year, my last cross country race, I was the favorite going in to the Austin Championships, and I'd never won at that level. I won grade 10 year, but I never won it as a grade 11 or 12. And similar to what you described earlier, like because I felt so much pressure because I knew I had a shot at winning. I just had to like seal the deal. And all my high school friends like drove an hour and came and watched. My family was there. A couple college recruits were there. So it was like really intense environment. And I was able to run away with it, and I won by 30 seconds. And just being able to like solidify that in a very like high stakes environment was so cool. I celebrated with everyone. I was throwing water everywhere, hugging everybody. It was a really cool moment. And similarly, my last college race for the University of Michigan, I was able to win an NCAA title in the 10,000 meter, and the only difference was instead of being the favorite for that race, I was like not even thought about it at all. So I went in with like no expectations. Like I was really confident in myself, but no one else knew I was ready to make a jump that big. So to surprise everybody and win that event was one of the coolest memories of my whole running career for sure. And as a pro, I've had as a pro, it gets so hard to win races. So,
Hmm.
it's been so much less frequent. One of my favorite races I had to win was probably the Falmouth Road Race. It's a big road race in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. And I've won it 3 times now. And the third time going in, similar, everyone there was expecting me to win. And I know everyone in the town so well. My family was there. My fiance is from there. So it was just a really cool experience to win in front of what felt like a home crowd and celebrating with everyone. And then I also made my first world championships for Team Canada this summer, which is something that just feels like a big sense of relief because I've been trying to do that for so long.
So, how was the jump going from running as a college athlete, like with a bunch of teammates, to becoming a professional runner for OnCloud?
It was really hard because you're just kind of you come out of the college system so confident, and you're just in a whole new league, a whole new level. And you kind of have to go through that humbling experience of, getting your butt kicked, showing up to races that you think you're going to win, or, you're ready, and, just kind of being disappointed with the result. And not everyone goes through that. Some guys have a really seamless transition, but mine wasn't. I went from feeling like, I was the best runner I've ever been before to like feeling like I like touched that Space Jam. You might not even know this reference because it's so long ago, but I felt like I lost all my powers, like that I just wasn't the runner that I used to be. So I really had to rebuild that confidence. And it took me a long time. When I first graduated school, I ended up being with a different team. I lived in Virginia and I was sponsored by Reebok. And, although things got a lot better by the end of my time there, I decided I needed a change. And that's when I moved back to Michigan, joined the team with On. I trained with, Hobbs Kessler, Mason Furlick, Morgan Beadlescombe, Nate Malenik now, and Ron Warhurst. And that really changed everything. I felt like I've really found my groove again. And, I'm more confident than I've been at any point in my running career. And I feel like I've got a really nice momentum. So I would say like any jump from, middle school to high school to college and college to pro, it can be really hard. The important thing is just to not get too discouraged and just understand that progress takes time and just keep chipping away at it. And, before you know it, you're back in that groove again.
So how was it training with like Mason and Hobbs and those other guys? Like how did you like working out with them and do you still like working out with them and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, they're all so good. Mason, him and I were, college teammates. So we know
Mhm.
each other really well. So it was kind of felt like this, like almost like coming home training with him. It felt like really familiar and that was really awesome. Hobbs was brand new. Like I've never met him before until I joined the team here in Ann Arbor. And, he's just so fun to be around because he's so much younger than all of us. So he brings a certain level of, energy and, sometimes immaturity that's just, very, it's like comic relief. It's just like really
Mhm.
he enjoys it. But at the same time, he flips the switch and he takes the sport so seriously that he's really been able to inspire us all by, just being at a level that's higher than what any of us were when we were the same age as him. And Morgan is, he's just all grit, he's just really determined. He'll run through a brick wall. So I feel like the group we formed, everyone kind of contributes different strengths. But at the end of the day, we're all just good friends and we like getting along with each other and we all want to get better. When you have a group like that, it's really easy for everyone to kind of just push each other and bring the best out of each other. So I really love it here. I'm on my break right now, so I feel like I
Mhm.
haven't seen them for like 2 days and it feels like I haven't seen them forever. So I'm excited to start running with them again going into the new year.
How is the dynamic with them all mostly being sponsored by Adidas and you sponsored being sponsored by On?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's a couple differences. So, they're all with Adidas. I'm with On. They're all American. I'm Canadian. They all have the same agent. I have a
Mhm.
different agent. So we have kind of this little bit of divergence. So there's some times where like everything is coordinated really well with them. Like for example, they all went to Eugene for the U.S. champs and I obviously am not American, so I don't go to the U.S. champs. So that's something that I feel like I've kind of gotten used to throughout my career and, especially competing in the U.S. is that sometimes I kind of have to just ride my own path solo for a little bit.
Mhm.
So the best thing we can do is just support each other despite our differences. So, there's not a whole lot of, um, divergence or any problems that come from it. I would say the biggest thing is that sometimes I just have to train by myself, for a period of time. And, it's sometimes a bummer not to go on a team trip with all those guys because it's a lot of fun. But, that's just the situation. And, they've been really good to me about it, welcoming to the team despite me being with a different sponsor. So because we all kind of, just support each other, it's never been an issue.
Okay. So, um, excuse me. Oh yeah. What was your like nutrition and diet plan going into your recent like World Series races?
Yeah, it doesn't change a whole lot. I feel like over a long time now, almost 10 years of running, I've kind of figured out the
Mhm.
stuff that, sits well. I like to eat. I try to just generally eat healthy, like well balanced meals. I try not to really like get too worried about not eating ice cream or restricting my diet in any sort of way because, the times that I have done that, I've actually ended up getting injured. So my number one priority is making sure that I'm getting enough food. And, because I'm training at a high volume now, it's important to just make sure, I eat enough when I'm hungry. And as long as I trust that like I'm not, overdoing it on the unhealthy foods, I'm pretty confident in just having like a well balanced diet. So for me, that's, you know, I like to really make sure I'm getting my protein in, whether it be like eggs or chicken, or I like shrimp and scallops a lot. And I have a lot of like pasta, but I'll have pizza
Mm,
sometimes too. So yeah, I try to just make sure I'm getting like all food groups in and, diversify my palate as much as I can.
okay. So this is a little bit changing topics, but in your opinion, who is the greatest American distance runner of all time and the greatest Canadian distance runner of all time? Two countries that are kind of like not known for distance running, I guess.
Sure. The Canadian one's easy. I have to go with Kevin
Mm,
Sullivan.
yeah.
He was my coach at Michigan. He ran 350 for the mile, 331
Mm,
for the 1500, fifth at the Olympics. So we're like finally getting guys pretty close to those times. But the coolest thing about Sully, aside from like his all-time best PBs or PRs, if you go to any track meet in Canada at any age, you'll see his name on the record board. He was so good he ran, I believe he ran 154 when he was in grade 8 for the 800. So like pretty much from the moment he was 13 years old all the way until he retired, he was just setting records, which is really cool. On the American side, the best American ever. That's, um, that's a pretty tough run. I feel like I've got to go with either Bill Rogers or Frank Shorter,
mm,
just because I think they were kind of in like the old school prime of distance running and really put
yeah.
the U.S. on the global map. Frank Shorter's gold medal at the Olympics, and the road racing scene. Since I've gotten more involved in it in the US, it's really cool to see like how much everyone still loves those guys because, in college, they're not names that I was super familiar with. But once I turned to pro and went to Falmouth Road Race or all these other, US road races, everyone talks about the legends, that are Billy Rogers and Frank Shorter. So, and they're still kicking. They attend those races all the time, which is pretty
Mm.
awesome.
Okay. So now, in your opinion, who do you think is the most underrated distance runner right now?
Most underrated distance runner right now. I mean, before this year, I would have said Morgan
Mm.
Beadlescombe, but I think this year he's like kind of woken people up to seeing, that he's going to be a major threat over the next few years. Um, Let me think for a second. Are we talking about Americans?
Yes.
Okay. Who's really impressed me this year? Let me think. Hmm. Sorry, I want to give you a good answer because there's so many good guys. Like, there's so many
Mm.
good guys in the U.S. right now. It's like it's hard to just pick one.
I just
Um,
forgot his name, but he's an Adidas runner. He's like a road miler. He had the road mile record for like a
oh,
little bit.
Sam Prakel?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
Sam
feel like
Prakel's super good. Yeah, Sam Prakel's definitely like one of the most consistent
mm,
guys on the circuit. So yeah, he's incredibly good. Um, ooh, it's hard to say. Honestly, the one guy that comes to mind right now that I think has shown a lot of
hmm
progress that's going to possibly get even better next year is Casey Neville.
hmm
He ran at Southern Utah and then Florida State. Oh, actually, I do have another answer too. Um, and he set some major PBs this year, and I think he's going to continue to get better. And someone who also we went to school with, whose name is Ahmed Mohammed. He just signed
hmm
with Hoka NAZ, and I raced him a lot this year, and he's consistently getting better. I know that he was like working a full-time job during a lot of the season, and now that he's got a pro deal, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a whole lot better too. So there's so many good guys on the circuit right now. It's like hard to just pick one.
Yeah. Okay. So this is not running related. What are three random facts about you?
Three random facts about me. One of the craziest ones is when I was growing up, I used to take
Hmm.
dance lessons. My aunt owns a dance studio, and I was actually in the same breakdancing class as Justin Bieber. That is 100% true
Oh
fact.
wow.
Yeah, when we
I
were both
actually did
about,
dance for like 7 years,
what's
and
that?
I I did dance for like 7 years
Oh, you did?
before I ran, and I was a break dancer too.
Oh, there you go. You and we could get
So
a dance competition. You're probably better than me by a lot. I was not very good. But so I did all of them.
Mm,
All jazz, tap,
yeah.
a little bit of ballet. But yeah, I did it for probably 3 or 4 years. I have some cousins that ended up being really, really good at it too. One of them is now famous. He's on TV, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I was in a breakdancing class with Justin Bieber. So that's fun fact number one. Fun fact number two is I love dogs. My fiance her name's Hannah, and she loves
Mm,
dogs more than anybody I've ever met in my life, and it's rubbed off on me. And I've got two dogs here. They're out napping. But we recently started volunteering at a dog shelter as well. So that's where both her and I were earlier today. And fun fact number three, I used to be able to do a backflip, but I can't anymore.
mm. Okay, so this is another kind of off running topic. What is your favorite sport besides running?
The my favorite sport I ever played besides running is hockey. I played hockey for
Mm,
about 10 years growing up in Canada. You can hear my dog now. Hannah just got home. They're very,
mm,
very excited. But nowadays, since I moved to the US, I don't watch hockey as much as I used to, which is a shame because I do still love it. But I have gotten really into watching NCAA football, especially since Michigan's been really good the last
yeah.
few years. But I have to go with hockey because, my Canadian friends would not be happy if I say anything different.
What's your favorite hockey team?
Toronto Maple Leafs by far. I used to, go crazy for them growing up. My favorite player was Matt Sundin. Big Austin Matthews fan now. But both my brother-in-laws, they're just diehard Leafs fans. Do you follow the sport much? Do you ever play?
Um, I used to play when I was really young, not for that long, but I am still a Pittsburgh Penguins fan.
Oh, nice. I love Sidney Crosby,
Yeah.
so that doesn't bother me one bit. You can be a Penguins fan. I don't mind that one bit.
Okay, so I don't really have any more questions for you, but if you have any more questions for me, I'll answer them. Or
Hmm. Let me ask you, what other sports? So you played hockey. Sounds like you grew up doing a little bit of dance, similar to me. You play any other sports growing up?
so I did when I was doing dance. I also did a lot of parkour,
Oh,
and
wow.
that's what I spent most of my time doing at the time. I would like wake up and go on my trampoline for like an hour before school, and then get
Nice.
home, like do dance, and then like do parkour when I got home. And right now, and during the summer, like for the past 2 summers, I've done triathlon, which is just like kind of a fun way to like still run, but I also get to like bike and swim with it so I don't like get over obsessed with just running and like it doesn't become as like boring or like I don't get burned out.
Hmm.
And I'm doing wrestling for the first year right now. So
Oh, cool. That's a
excited to
good
try
one.
that.
I hear it's really tiring.
Yeah. I went to morning practice and I was beat afterwards.
Yeah. I did a little bit of like swimming was like my sport, my version of
Yeah.
wrestling, I guess, that I did in high school
uh
to like switch it up. And how'd you get into running?
So I got into running when my brother and sister were on the middle school team and my mom strongly encouraged me to do it. So I decided to sign up. And the first year I was like decent. And it was like
Hmm.
the first sport I was actually like naturally pretty good at. So then I just started training and the more I trained, the faster I got. So I trained more and then I got faster and it just like that cycle kept going on. And now I'm in eighth grader and that's like my favorite thing to do now, just run.
That's so cool. And it sounds like you have older siblings.
I do an older sister who's a senior in high school and an older brother that's a junior in high school.
Nice. So you're the youngest?
I am, yeah.
Me too, man. We got a lot in common. That's crazy. I
Yeah.
got two older sisters though, but they're about the same. Like, so your sister's probably what, 4 years older than you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the same as mine. And then my other sister was 3 years older than me. That's crazy. Cool. Well, yeah, I think that's all the questions I got. Well, let me ask you one more question. If you could take running like as far as you can, like what's your like dream with running? What do you want to do?
So I definitely want to run in college. I'm hoping to either run at Michigan or Tennessee.
Sweet.
And then I would hopefully want to run professionally, either for On or Nike.
Nice.
And then I would just try going from there and see what I can do.
There's some good plans. Yeah, if I could give you any advice, it's just one step at a time. I always had the dreams in my head, like those
Mhm.
never went away. But it was like even when sometimes those dreams like seemed really far away, having like a focus on like some short-term goal. Sometimes it was like even when I was hurt, it was like my goal might be like, breaking 5 minutes in the mile again when
Yeah.
I was in college. It was just like always having those short-term goals. That's like what gets you closer and closer to those dreams. And then one day you just wake up and you're there already. It's pretty crazy. But I better go say hi to Hannah. Thank you for setting
Sure.
this up, Christian.
Thank you
Um,
for letting me interview. It was a
yeah, of
pleasure.
course. Yeah, thank you. Keep doing what you're doing and keep me updated with the results. I'd love to hear about how things continue to go.
Okay.
All right.
Have a wonderful night.
Thanks, man. You too. See ya.
Okay. Bye.